Hello, my name is Helen Schofield, and I'm the Chief Executive of the Probation Institute. And this session is an introduction to the work of the Probation Institute. Who are we? We are an independent organisation. We're a membership organisation open to anyone committed to improving professional development in rehabilitation and resettlement. We work with our members, with fellows of the Probation Institute, and quite a wide range of academics. We work on our own. We also work in collaboration with other organisations, including HMPPS. We do this running events with other organisations, writing papers, developing professional practice. One of the areas of development has been the Code of Probation Ethics, Probation Institute Code of Ethics. And this is the only code of ethics in probation in the UK. So if you haven't seen it, click on the link and have a look. All our members, as they join, are asked to agree to work by the Code of Ethics. Just a note then about governance and purpose. And to be clear about the independence, we do not receive any core funding from HMPPS or from any other part of the Ministry of Justice. Our funding comes from fees, grants, and some events. So specific events we've run for HMPPS and they're funded. But as I say, there's no core grant. And that's, in a sense, why we regard ourselves as independent. We're looking at becoming a charity in the future. And in doing that, we've reminded ourselves of our purpose, and our purpose here, providing professional leadership, which means that we need to be closely connected to the work of groups across probation and in HMPPS, so quite closely connected to the effective practice team, to the Service User Advisory Board, for example. And also we've had very regular discussions with the probation reform team and brought a number of things to their attention that I venture to suggest had not perhaps been considered in the depth that we invited them to consider. So our work has to align not only with the priorities of HMPPS to be relevant, but it also has to pick up the gaps that we see in professional practice and try to bridge some of those gaps. So here is a list on the next slide of most of our activities. I won't read through them all, but I'll pick out a couple. In particular, our professional discussion groups on alternate Mondays at 5 o'clock online. This session is open to anyone, whether you're a member or not. We began this right at the beginning of COVID, and by popular demand, we have kept it going. We discuss and invite speakers on a wide range of professional topics. We talk about thematic inspections when they come out. We talk about topical issues, but we also talk about areas that are not well covered in other ways. Most recently, our speakers have been on talking to us about the unacceptable behaviour unit in HMPPS, about modern slavery, and also about gambling and criminal justice. So some really interesting topics, and you're all very welcome to join us. Just email us and we will send you the link to that session. And also pick out the Probation Quarterly, which hopefully some of you will be familiar with. If you haven't, again, click on that. This is an accessible online publication for probation and wider rehabilitation and resettlement. It's less meaty and less heavily research than some of the other publications because we specifically want it to be accessible to people who haven't got a lot of time. We publish it on our website and we mail it out directly to our members. So there's quite a list of activity there. Our professional development events have changed a little lately. Up to 2019, we ran all of our professional development events face-to-face. That meant that we ran an annual practitioner conference with up to 200 participants each year. We haven't run that in 2020 or 2021, but we have continued to run the Trainees Conference online since 2020. And this focuses on currently challenging topics. And speakers, for instance, the Victim Commissioner came to the last Trainees Conference to talk to trainees. We also run 2 research conferences every year. Recently, we've run one of them on working with families and one on domestic abuse. The next research conference for the Probation Institute is planned for this autumn in October and will be on race equality. All these events are open to anyone, and where we charge for them, which is unusual, that will always be quite heavily discounted for members. So you'll have noticed in the list of activities mention of position papers. We have a suite of position papers. This is not policy. This is the Probation Institute position on a number of areas of professional development and professional practice. In each case, the paper is discursive, it provides information, and then it provides some clear principles for practitioners recommended by the Probation Institute, but not forming statutory policy in any way. Some of the most recent ones, hopefully you may be aware of some of these, are on use of technology and electronic monitoring to support supervision. Very recently, a paper on probation court work, which we think is somewhat neglected but critical area. And the most recent one of all is on the use of the pre-sentence report before plea protocol. And we are in development is the position paper on probation accommodation. That's a paper looking at the principles around the accommodation that is needed in order for service users to get the best out of their contact with probation. And some of you will know that that's been quite a thorny issue over the years. So one area we haven't touched on yet that you may associate with the Probation Institute is the question of a professional register. When we established the Probation Institute in 2014, we offered a voluntary professional register for 5 years. This was voluntary, as I say, and therefore not compulsory. There was no obligation to register, and unsurprisingly, therefore, it was not very well used. Looking at unification and the future, we have just completed a piece of research, a survey, looking at the views of practitioners and others at how professional registration and the license to practice might operate post-unification. This paper is complete and is due to be published, and it shows strong support across practitioners for an independent regulatory body setting professional standards, a qualification framework, an independent register, and a license to practice. So I think there is a strong case for strengthening professionalisation by a statutory register and a license to practice. And we're interested to note that the current Minister for Prisons and Probation, Alex Chalk, also thinks so, but that is no guarantee of future developments. So watch this space. It's an interesting area. The final slide just looks at our social media links. Our website includes all our publications, of course. Also, under a page of useful publications, we bring together as many as we can find, new reports, papers on rehabilitation and resettlement issues. So if you're looking for something, try our useful publications page and you may find what you're looking for. We have a busy Twitter account, sometimes busier than others. We try and keep it moderate and not overexcited. But our presence in LinkedIn is also growing rapidly. And this is an interesting community, not only of practitioners, but a wide range of people interested in and working in different roles and levels in the sector. So this is an interesting place to look for changing and forming opinions. That's the final slide. So can I say thank you for listening, and I hope this has been of interest to you. Thank you.